Hello everyone, I'm here today in the Palais Coburg in Vienna with my friend Johannes Fleischmann, violinist, and he invited me to play here with him in the Palais because he has his own series, his own concert series. You know me, my name is Aaron Pilsan, I'm an international concert pianist, and today I would love to talk to Johannes to get some insight how it's like being a violinist and also, host at the same time. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Welcome to our talk. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you. Yes, this is the Palais Coburg in Vienna. It's one of the most gorgeous places in Vienna. It was called the second house of Vienna, actually, after the house of Habsburg, because the family of Coburg was a very influential one. The marriage policies of Clementine von Orléans, which was Coburg, was a grande dame from the house Coburg. She had the talent to marry her children to the big imperial houses in Europe. So, meaning the Great Britain is connected to this house, Portugal is connected to this house, and Coburg-Kohari, Hungary, is connected to this house as well. So this is a very interesting story to be here, and what is also very interesting that we're actually sitting on the former city wall of Vienna. And in the basement of this house you can still see the original city wall of Vienna, which was basically the border of Vienna. So this is a quite interesting house with beautiful estate rooms and great restaurants and a wonderful wine cellar.
Yeah, I've heard about that wine cellar. I think the most expensive one you told me is 180,000 euros, right? I think it's one of the greatest collections in Austria, definitely. But we're not here for the wine, not only here for the wine, we also play music.
Yes.
What would be interesting for me is how you got in touch with this house and how you started running your own concert series here.
I always wanted to do something, to have like my own series in Vienna, to have the possibility to create a cycle, something like this, which is possible next to my career as a musician. So that means in general we have 4 concerts here in this house a year, where I'm inviting dear colleagues, great pianists as you are. I started this idea, I had this idea 2016. And I always wanted to create something by myself. So I started organizing things already with a very young age. And I approached the owners and the people in charge here with the idea to create a concert series like as I have now in such an incredible place, because I always wanted to program, to have the possibility to make programs, to have collaborations with great musicians of my choice and not of somebody else's choice. And we started with the first time concert was 2018, where I actually played my first album, Exodus, before I recorded it. So this was the start of that series, and we have now 4 concerts a year, which is perfect because so next to my career, touring and playing internationally, it's the right balance between like organizing something, programming something, and then practicing playing, teaching. And I think for me it was always very important to be creative, not only on the instrument, since I'm not composing, since I'm an interpreter basically in music. I have also the urge to create something, and a big wish of mine was always not transform, but to bring people to music, to like educate, get people to know great pieces, and this was one of the reasons why I said I want to program my own program and see how many people I can attract with that. This is the same thing like in Althofen.
Yeah, great. As you have 2 festivals basically, you have also your series in Althofen in Kärnten. maybe, you know, because I have many young musicians watching this, you can give some advice on when the right moment is to start with your own concert series, and also how to find this balance you were talking about, you know, that you have this balance between being the active artist performing the music and being the one behind the scenes also, you know, making the connection between the artists and the house and choosing the program and building that kind of thing.
Yes, so we have, I started quite early with the idea of doing something. I started with organizing a chamber orchestra in my early 20s, and I organized my first tour, which was basically back then, there were many tours by orchestras going to China, and most of them were not paid. I started one of the first tours there, which was paid with Christian Schulz together. And I was beginning of 20 organizing my first international orchestra tour with an ensemble I put together. And so it was always my interest to do it. I don't know, I actually don't know why. But the question is interesting, when is the best time to start with? I think if you feel like you want to create something, you should not stop yourself. If you don't feel like, don't push yourself there, because you will have like sleepless nights. I think it's very important to listen to yourself. What is your biggest need? What is your interest as well? And the balance, you have to, I think planning is a very important thing in general in the life of a musician. It's not my best character, I have to say, but I try to everything what I cannot do to involve people who are better than me in that. Well, I think in general you cannot be the best in everything in this world, and you should know what your talents are, and for everything you can't do, you should try to get the best people around you who can do things you can't do. So I think it's the same in music, but also in organizing stuff. So if you're a great musician, a great connector, for example, but you're bad in administration, you're gonna find a solution for that. But that's basically my case. I'm very bad in administration.
Yeah, you've mentioned a very important part, involving other people. You know, nothing is possible alone. And in my case, I'm obviously playing recitals alone very often, but also there, behind the scenes, I have to connect with people. You know, you are dependent on your network and you are dependent on each other to help each other to create something beautiful. And in our case, now we also have music that we create together. For example, the Schubert Fantasy, which is a very challenging piece. How is that process for you as a violinist? Because I know it's definitely one of the most demanding chamber music pieces for piano, but also from what I've heard, it's one of the most challenging chamber music pieces for the violin. How have you prepared that, and how is it to rehearse that together with a pianist?
Well, that's right. It's one of the most demanding chamber music pieces also for violinists. Well, how is it to rehearse it with a pianist? Well, with you, great.
Thanks.
And it's indeed, I think the difficulty with this piece is, first of all, of course, there are several technical difficulties in there, especially they coming very sudden, like in the last movement. And there are other things, they're musical things, they're musical phrasing, they're rhetorical questions you need to first understand somehow before you're gonna go further in this piece. And I think especially in Viennese music, such as Schubert, and this is for me it's a very Viennese piece, rhetoric in music, it's something you need to understand what he's saying, and you need to understand what he's saying in order to translate that for the audience. So as soon as you know what to say with a phrase, what to say, for example, with the song "Sei mir gegrüßt," which is in the middle part of the fantasy, and we checked today out the lyrics, actually, what exactly is written in the special places. And I think this work is as well very important, just to understand what might have he had in his mind while writing this. And I think this is next to the part to play together, to find each other in this piece. This is like, for me, playing violin and piano, this is the smallest form of chamber music, of course, but it's a beautiful organism, because sound-wise, both of these instruments are quite different, also the way how they produce. But in the combination violin and piano, to find one organic sound, and this is like the Olymp of chamber music, because having this forming as a group of two, like a sound, like sounding like a string quartet or another ensemble, this is like something so beautiful, and it's great to create that sound with you.
Yeah, what I find the most interesting thing about chamber music is that, as you said, you can learn from each other and you can discover something together. And it's, as any human interaction, first of all, you need to get to kind of the same vibration. You have to feel each other's energy to really understand, and then the talking in the end is the bonus. It's easy. So first of all, we have to get in tune with each other, and then after some hours, usually, we just feel the connection, and you just do whatever is indicated by the other person. It's something very magic, and of course, I think it takes a lot of experience. It's something that you are not possible. You're not capable of doing when you're still very young in the teenage years, but it comes over time that you kind of really feel the other musician. Maybe the interesting thing for me is to know from you how it is, because I play with partners from time to time, but you play with pianists all the time. How is it to get from one person to the other one? How is the process? For me, it's probably the change of pianos. I play a different instrument every time, but you often also play with different people. And how do you get used to that?
Well, I guess it's the same, like you get used to playing with different pianos. It's something very refreshing, I have to say. Also to meet new people. I personally have to say I hate to do things the very first time. In general, it's like always, I like to meet new people, but like having a first rehearsal, you never know what's coming, But to have the feeling to do something again, it's the same thing like playing a piece the very first time. That's the beautiful thing about music. The more often you do it, the more you can discover in a piece. The more you can discover in yourself, actually. And this is interesting to get to know people and other musicians. I think what you said is very right in terms of it's the in-between human experience, same as chamber music. But the difference is, I think, sometimes if you meet someone in your life and you can talk like the whole night, you feel like you know this person very long, and you actually go from one conversation to the other conversation, something like this. In chamber music, it can be exactly the opposite. So if you have to have a rehearsal, and the rehearsal is like all night, and you actually don't come to a point, it's very frustrating. But for example, if you rehearse and you speak the same language, and you know you can adjust like a few things to the other person, and it's understood, and some things are already understood without talking, then I think you made the right decision with this person, because like you understand each other without talking. And that's the beautiful thing about music, that it is actually a language by itself. You can understand if you know how to listen to it. And this is interesting for young musicians as well, because very often when we are young, we thinking in many technical parts of playing an instrument, and then we of course are all very influenced by our mentors, by our teachers. So we do what they tell us, and to find our own voice in what we say, this takes time. And I think what I want to tell like all the young pianists out there and young musicians out there is try finding really your own voice. Every teacher you can have, every partner you can have is there to get you to another level. They're here for you, and you're not there for them. And this is, I think, the way how you find your own voice, your own way of interpretation, your own key to Schubert, to Beethoven, to Tchaikovsky, whatever componist you love. So finding your own voice as a musician, it's a very important part. Every teacher you have is actually there for you to support you. Young musicians are not there to support their teachers or their opinions of the teachers. And I think it's the same in chamber music. When you have the possibility also to play with older musicians who are already in a different process in life, I think it's it's a win-win situation, because getting this trust, getting this experience, also with not so much talking, like just feeling what music comes out of this collaboration. It's I think a great to discover, actually.
Yeah, thank you for all this valuable insight. I think we have learned a lot about chamber music. I'll also do more videos about chamber music, because I think it's really important to also share music with each other, and also to learn how to do that properly, because you can learn to play your instrument very well, but then to listen to others and react to their playing and also give some impulses, that's very, very important, and that's where you learn from the most, in my opinion. So thank you for being here. Now, where can people find your work if they're interested to know about you, Johannes?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great to talk with you about chamber music, and I'm very much looking forward to our performance together. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Facebook, you can go to my website, www.johannesfleischmann.at, and there are all the informations. You will can discover a lot of information about me on this website. And of course, I can recommend to listen to my newest album, Solitaire, with Christoph Ulrich Meyer, where we recorded some musical gemstones. Most of them you might not know, but you will know every composer, I promise you that. And you can listen to that on each streaming platform of your wish. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Johannes. And if you want to invite me for a concert, or both of us together, then you can write here. And if you want to get on a free first trial lesson with me, with a piano, so that you can learn not just to play very well yourself, but also what you need to keep in mind when you do chamber music, then sign up for this free lesson here at aaronpilsen.com/academy. And we're now going to enjoy our lunch together.
Yes.
Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these great talks. And yeah, thank you, Johannes, for being here. Take care, all of you. Ciao, ciao.